Hey, it's your girl Nicole, and welcome back to the Risers Hub podcast, your one-stop shop for wellness, empowerment, and growth. If you've been listening to the podcast and wondering why in the world I'm talking to you on a Wednesday instead of Monday, and yes, I know consistency is key when it comes to building something new, but today marks the Risers Hub podcast 1-year anniversary. Yay! Yep, 1 year of discussing life coaching, wellness, and wellness coaching with all of you. We discussed setting goals, being mindful, taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. You've listened to my horrible wellness jokes and crazy sense of humor sprinkled over actual real life topics. And honestly, I hope those moments helped you get over and through some challenging times in your life and not take things too seriously. In one of the earlier podcasts titled Rising Together and Creating a Vibrant Community, the purpose of the Risers Hub, I shared how the Risers Hub was created. I was on a trail run, and at the time I was doing a lot of online coaching with various groups. I was teaching goal setting and sharing my RISE theory, but I wanted to do more. So on this run, the Risers Hub podcast literally unfolded in my head. I mean, I was around trees and greenery, and there was a path in front of me. It was all symbolic, so it was meant to happen, I guess. After that run, I got home. I drove my girlfriends crazy, showing them various renditions of the logo. They had no idea where I was going with it, what I was doing. So I continued to sketch on my own, figure it out. And back to the run, I could hear podcast conversations in my head. And not only that, I knew exactly who I wanted to talk to. And I've been very, very lucky to have those exact guests on my podcast and then some. So I have to say, I did that. So I have a question for you. Take a look back at your year, good or bad, and what is one thing that happened to you this year that made you feel like you were rising? Was it an accomplishment at work? Was it something that you did for your community? It could have been a breakthrough with a family member or a friend. Was it an everyday challenge that you finally conquered? And if so, no matter what it was, did you celebrate it? Did you celebrate yourself? If you haven't celebrated yourself, now is the time to merely tell yourself, hey girl, hey guy, you did that. And then pat yourself on the back. I'm serious. Celebrate yourself, even for the little things. Now, even though I am the air quote wellness coach / expert, for me personally, this has been a truly roller coaster year of emotions. After making the trek from the West Coast to the East Coast, I was here and watched my aunt pass away in front of me within 1 year. On the flip side of that, I did make a lot of new friends, but then I also lost a lot of friends. I learned that time is never on our side, and time goes by really fast. So you young mothers out there, people with new relationships, please enjoy the moment now. Enjoy it because time is so fleeting. I also learned that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was, and I can handle just about anything. And that's not to brag or anything. It's just really a blessing that I recognized and I learned from. I thought that going through a divorce 8 years ago was the hardest thing, but right when you think that you have conquered life in a sense, the universe will throw you a curveball and test you with all those challenges. And when you understand it's a test, then you will learn how to pull from your toolbox of resources and fight the good battle to make things happen for you. So I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I also have learned this year to understand that actions speak louder than words. and not necessarily someone's actions towards me, but my actions towards someone else. And so that's something that I'm going to work on, because a lot of times we do things and we don't realize we're doing them, or we're doing something and we don't realize that it's either hurting someone else or it's affecting someone else in a negative way. And so having hard conversations was very important for me this year. And my relationships with different people became very important. I made sure that the people that I wanted to see this year, I got to see them. And the people that I wanted to talk to about life in general, I was able to do that. I'm hoping that those conversations will build into something greater in the future. But I planted a lot of seeds this year, and I really hope to see them grow in 2025. So, question number 2, what were your roller coaster moments this year? Because we all have them. And do you think they made you stronger or weaker, no matter what the outcome? And if you're listening to this and you're contemplating, man, do I feel stronger or do I feel weaker? Let's talk about the word strong for a minute. So we're going to take a bit of a sidebar before we go back into the podcast. So being strong can mean several things. And it really depends, obviously, on the situation that you're in. But I'm going to throw 5 things out there that I see is strength or being strong. Growth. The word growth, that is being strong, especially when you're willing to grow. Number 2, empowering yourself with information is extremely strong. Good, positive information, something that'll impact your life. Quiet in the middle of a storm is being, that's being really strong. Sometimes quietness and not saying anything is so much more powerful than engaging. Number 4, boundaries. We talked about boundaries a lot in November and moving into the holiday season. Building boundaries is a form of strength. And lastly, being intentional is being strong. Now, I listed 5 of these things, and I know that a lot of times when people are implementing these things in their life, it may not feel strong because of the reaction that you're getting when you are practicing growth and empowering yourself and being quiet and setting boundaries and being intentional. But what I want to share with you is that you cannot control how other people are going to react to something that's going to benefit you in your life. Your peace and your wellness is the most important thing. And if someone isn't in agreement with that, then you need to reevaluate that relationship and see if it needs to change. And I'm going to leave it at that. So back to your regularly scheduled program. Now, along the way, we've shared space with inspiring guests who brought their expertise and stories of triumph to the table. We've laughed and learned, and we've risen to challenges as a community. But it's not just the podcast that's evolving. I don't know if you know this, but I love putting together websites. I don't code, but give me a template and I'm all over the back end of that website. I don't know how that sounded, but it's what I do. In the past couple weeks, the risershub.com has been revamped, and it's still in the works to be a great and resourceful website, but it's going to provide so much great information for people who are trying to stay on their wellness journey, create goals, set those goals, and accomplish those goals, and really move forward in their life. So if you're not able to listen to the podcast every week, please know that you can check out the latest on the risershub.com to help you on your wellness journey. Now, the new site is packed with tools and content to support your growth. And so right now, it includes a downloadable goal-setting workbook/guide that's based off of my book, Time to Rise, Get Fit, and Stay There. It's super simple, and it's free to download, and it can help you map out and achieve your goals. Very simple. And if you need help, you can always talk to me through hello@therisershub.com. The next thing is the inspirational blog posts on the Lemonade blog. Yes, we're making lemonade next year, people. The Lemonade blog is filled with practical tips, personal stories, and it's also a summary of show notes. So if there's a show that you're interested in and you want notes on that show, I'm going to try my best to make sure that those notes are posted on that blog weekly. And of course, you can purchase my book, Time to Rise, Get Fit, and Stay There. It's a 4-week, very popular wellness program designed to jumpstart your holistic well-being. I wrote the book back in 2019, and I revamped it in 2020 and put it out on the market and did pretty well. So instead of going to Amazon, you can actually go to therisershub.com, pay a small donation fee, and download it, and you will have it in the palm of your computer. Okay, then you can also download the wellness checklist that keeps you on track with your wellness journey and helps you maintain your desired level of self-care. This is a really cool checklist because what I did with this particular checklist is there's 2 ways to check off where you are in your wellness journey. And again, if you have any questions, shoot us an email at hello@therisershub.com and we'll be more than happy to help you. And then, of course, there's a chance for you to sign up for personalized wellness coaching sessions with yours truly. And again, you can find all this on therisershub.com. Now, I have another question for you. How do you feel about setting new goals for 2025? Are you ready to start something new or improve on something you've already started? The one thing I want to suggest to you as a wellness coach is that you are queen or king of your wellness journey. No one is going to do the work for you. You have to put in the work. You have to decide how you're going to do it. And what someone like me would do, like a coach, would just guide you in the right direction. All right, so let's revisit some core topics discussed throughout the year. We talked about nutrition, self-care, goal setting, holistic healing. We talked about stress with holistic coach Michelle Meeks. And we also talked about the relationship with food. Do you remember our conversation about nutrition with holistic nutritionist Alexandra Brown? We explored not just what to eat, but how to cultivate a sustainable, joyful relationship with food. We talked about building balanced meals, understanding your body's unique needs, and even simple hacks for staying consistent when life gets busy. I loved her passion for helping others in her community and understanding how food is distributed in our communities and how we can do better by advocating for better food and processes. Now, one of the first podcasts was about goal setting. We broke down the RISE methodology of effective goal creation, the power of SMART goals, and setting yourself up for success by taking small action steps that can evolve as you get closer to your goals. Whether it was committing to a fitness routine, launching a passion project, or just carving out time for self-care, we've worked together to make our goals a reality. Speaking of guests and topics, I wanted to share a list of the most downloadable episodes here at the Risers Hub podcast. I picked 5, okay? So number 5 was Embracing Your Body Image and Owning Your Space with LaToya Shante Snell. She's a huge athlete and influencer on Instagram and TikTok. And that conversation for the both of us was extremely important because throughout the year, she was getting a lot of hits about her nutrition, about her exercising, about the way she was moving, about the way she looked. And at the end of the day, the whole idea of her even being on social media was the fact that she is moving and trying to take care of her body. Her body may never change. It may never change to be whatever everybody else wants it to be, but she's out there doing it. And what's so ironic about that conversation is that the comments that she was getting, I have gotten the same exact comments, and we look completely different. Our body image is completely different. So we're just here to say, stop it. Just stop it, because people are doing the best that they can with what they have. I think that podcast was like 45 minutes long, but the actual conversation that me and LaToya had was like nearly 3.5 hours long. And I pulled that podcast from that conversation. So just think about it the next time that you see somebody being bashed online. Be an advocate for them or stand up for them, or just, if you're the person doing it, don't do it. Keep your opinions to yourself. All right, number 4, rising together and creating a vibrant community, the purpose of the Risers Hub. That was number 4. That was the episode that I talked about why I created it and what I wanted to do with the Risers Hub podcast. And so I appreciate you guys being curious and downloading that and listening to that story on how I built this little, community. Number 3, I was really surprised by this because this was something that I was learning for myself. And I hear these two words being interchanged all the time, but they're not. They don't mean the same thing. And that's motivation versus inspiration. Spark your journey and keep the fire burning. That was number 3. And, you can be inspired to do something, but you have to be motivated to move and do it. It was really fun to put that podcast together, and I learned a lot from that podcast, and I hope that you guys learn. Obviously, I hope someone got something out of it, but it's number 3 on the list. Number 2, Soul Fit Sisters, the unconventional wellness conversation with Carolyn Auya and Casimira Carter. That was a fun podcast because it was only supposed to be me and Caroline doing the podcast. She's our Risers ambassador. And Casimira happened to be visiting her that day, and we just started having this really cool conversation and talking about our wellness journeys. And each one of us were very different people, and we had very different wellness journeys. And I was like, can we just record this and see how it goes? And it turned out to be a really good podcast. I know that some of my sound on some of my podcasts aren't all that great. I'm new at this podcasting. I'm having fun with it. So I appreciate those who are out there listening to this podcast weekly and bearing with me. So I'm hoping in 2025 I can improve on the sound, but it did still turn out to be a great podcast with some very valuable information. And then number 1 was the power of community. Let's rise and thrive together with Jessica Walton and Carla Faust, run leaders from San Diego. We were fresh off of a Ragnar, running over 250 miles from San Diego to LA. And I love you ladies. I love you so much, but your girl is worn out from Ragnar's. I don't know when I'm ever going to do another one again. Sorry. That was a lot, but we built a very powerful community based off of an idea from Jessica Walton. She wanted a all woman of color Ragnar. And I don't think it had been done before. And so when she went to ask everybody, people jumped on it immediately. And we had Lululemon as our sponsor. And it was one of the most interesting and incredible experiences that I've had, because I had to go back to San Diego from the East Coast. And a lot of the route that we took was through all the neighborhoods that my girls grew up in, and that, it used to be our stomping ground. And so it was kind of like this full circle moment to kind of go through these neighborhoods and have all these different memories and be very solid and satisfied with my decision to move. Sometimes you have to let things go in order to move forward. And I love San Diego. I absolutely love my friends in San Diego, but I had to move on. And that was a huge lesson for me. So that was our number 1 podcast. And you should check it out because it was a great way to listen about, again, like how someone had an idea and wasn't sure how she was going to make it happen, but she made it happen because she put it in the universe, she believed in it, and everything just started coming together really, really nicely. So The Power of Community was the #1 podcast downloaded and listened to in 2024. And thank you so much for that. What was great about each of these podcasts, the guests shared their unique and vulnerable sides. And they also talked about how they conquered their challenges and how they navigated through their own wellness journey. And they also shared what worked for them. And so what I'm hoping is that with all these different guests, you were able to resonate with one or two of them and hear how they navigated through life and navigated through their wellness journey and picked up some tips from them. Because at the end of the day, wellness is a continuous process through which we become aware of and make choices toward a more successful existence, whatever that means to you. So your wellness journey, that's ongoing, and it's going to change, and it's going to evolve and revolve and do all these different things and make you into who you are. And so you just have to decide, like, what role are you going to play in that movie, that wellness movie, okay? So what are you looking for in your life? Love, acceptance, structure, or just creating an environment you can be proud of? That's what I'm looking for. The Risers Hub is for those who are always looking to grow and learn and find their own wellness journey. And I know I have learned a lot. The Risers Hub has used every aspect of my creative side. So if there's a podcast where the sound wasn't that great, like I mentioned before, or the website's acting funny, that's all me. I'm learning along the way. So thank you for being patient and continuing to be patient with me. No matter how late I have to stay up to fix the sound or, create a social media post or re-edit a show, the one common goal is to provide information to the wellness community and to help one person who may have been listening to the podcast and just needed some words of advice. So what's the future hold for the Risers Hub? Now, speaking of rising higher, I'm beyond thrilled to share some exciting news. In 2025, the Risers Hub is taking things to the next level with in-person wellness events across the DMV area. I'm really excited about it. I believe the first one's going to happen in February, and I'm trying to put all the pieces together. So please look out for it, okay? And then I want the Risers Hub to be built as an effective nonprofit organization that can guide people to meet their goals. So that's the next step. And then lastly, I love creating. So I'll be using all my creative juices to make resources and materials that will put a smile on your face and make you feel good from the inside out. So that's my goal for 2025. So imagine a really vibrant space where you can connect with other risers. You can dive into hands-on goal-setting workshops using, my workbooks, exploring the latest trends in nutrition, and participate in interactive wellness sessions. These events will be all about fostering community, sharing knowledge, and creating transformational experiences. And I'll be there to guide you every step of the way. So please stay plugged in by starting with therisershub.com. You can follow me on social media at The Risers Hub, either on Instagram or TikTok. And there is a Facebook page. It is a brand new Facebook page, so please look for that as well. All this information, again, is on therisershub.com. Now, before we wrap up, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to all of you who have been listening to the Risers Hub from the beginning, or you've just got started. You engage with the content, you share your own stories of growth. It always surprises me when someone tells me, hey, I listened to your podcast and it was really good, or you said this or that and it really helped me put things in perspective. Thank you. Have an amazing holiday season and a very happy new year. And until next time, and until the new year, keep rising.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, take care. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. That's what they told me to do at the end of this podcast. So could you hook me up? Thanks. Bye.